Hello and welcome to another review, and I'm absolutely boiled while I'm doing this because it's reportedly the hottest day of the year and it may get hotter again. Who knows? I've absolutely had enough of it now. But of course all the experts are telling us, oh, it's going to get hotter and hotter and hotter. What? It's going to be like sort of 90 degrees centigrade during winter, probably by their standards. You know what experts and scientists are like. But anyway, what about the experts and scientists who've been working out plots and stuff like that for Mission Impossible Fallout? Are they any good? Well, if you've not seen it yet, then Mission Impossible Fallout has a title where the word Fallout relates to nuclear weapons, with 3 plutonium warheads out there in the hand of a gang called the Apostles. They could be set off anywhere at any time with devastating consequences. So they must be stopped. So who's going to do that? Who do you think? It's going to be Ethan Hunt, Tom Cruise. That's as long as he chooses to accept it. I mean, if he didn't, what would happen? These messages self-destruct after 5 seconds. So whoever keeps sending them, if they're going to send one to someone else, they'd have to make a new one. And they're probably not cheap. I mean, I don't know, has anyone costed these things to work that out? I have no idea. But then again, if he does accept it, because if he didn't, then it'd be a bit of a short film. If he does accept it, what's his price? He certainly doesn't seem to be in the money because he's at the start of the 6th film, which is what this is, he's living in a rather squalid flat. Now I started making too many notes very early on. Why? Because it's a sort of one of these films where they go globe-trotting all over the place for the entire film. So I'd just be listing all the places that they go to because you don't want any spoilers in the plot, do you? And for one of them, they go to Paris, to a venue that seems to have some sort of catwalk venue thing going on. Even though there's no models walking down it, and it just, I don't know, just gave me pangs of Hitman's. I say Hitman, the one that came out in 2016. I can't wait for the 2018 game. But the opening level of that one, which is based in Paris, and it's called the Showstopper. It just looks exactly like we were in that, apart from there was no sort of bald men who were thin and walking about. But anyway, now with no Jeremy Renner because he was busy making next year's Avengers movie, there's Henry Cavill to make up the IMF numbers as August Walker. Cavill sports a big moustache, and this was a film where he was contractually bound not to shave it off. So if you saw Justice League, now I enjoyed Justice League. A lot of people didn't seem to, but I enjoyed it. But if you watch that, there's a big old. I mean, they even made a meme about it. They had to do a load of reshoots for it, and he had to go back, and he had this great big soup strainer on his. You know where moustaches go. I don't need to point that out for you. Because I wasn't expecting this, and I didn't know. Certainly didn't even know while I was watching the film. I didn't notice anything was going on. I mean, I'll put a picture up while I'm talking about it, but there's so much fast cutting going on during those films that you haven't got time to stare at his upper lip anyway, and you just watch what he's doing. But lots of, some DC fans got a bit antsy for a while. But when watching this film, quite why he needed that moustache, I have no idea. Maybe it was because no one else had a moustache. I mean, Simon Pegg's got a bit of a scruffy beard thing going on. There's other people with beards, but he was just kind of unshaven. It's the kind of thing that it's the kind of role you sort of expect what's his name, Timothy Dalton to do if he was doing like a baddie role. I mean, he's sort of not a huge big star now anymore, but he's basically like the Timothy Dalton. That's who he's playing. I think I'd rather have Timothy Dalton, quite frankly. Who we did have for this was a guy called Christopher McQuarrie, who was writing and directing it. Now, he delivered the goods big time in number 5, but here he let some of the sort of in-between scenes run too long. And because of that, you then stop caring about what little plot there is. And while I love the last film, Rogue Nation, this feels very much like Rogue Nation Part 2. And just, how can I best put this? It's way too long. It's 147 minutes. That's 2.5 hours. I had to do some extra maths there. Avengers Infinity War was 149 minutes. Now, one problem is it's very good when it's got some of the action scenes on. Some of them, not all of them, because what I was sort of kind of missing is that there was no, apart from the finale, which is great, and I won't spoil that. Well, I won't spoil any of it. What was a big problem is that there's just no other sort of big action sequences. You're waiting for something big to open the film, like the hanging onto a plane sequence in Rogue Nation. And there's just nothing like that here. It just goes on way too long. It just goes on way too long. It just goes on way too long. They brought Rebecca Ferguson back into the film as Ilsa, who just makes Ethan get a stirring in his loins. And it's just absolutely pointless. I can't see why. Similarly, this also has connections with the last movie, as one of the main baddies is the return of Solomon Lane, who was sort of gruff-voiced Sean Harris, who I thought was in Skyscraper. Now, you'll see why from my review, my vlog about that, why I thought he was in Skyscraper. But anyway, at the end of the last film, he was taken. And you really need to see, number 5 before watching this. But in fact, watch them all. Most of them are pretty good. He was taken into custody by the IMF. So does he escape in this one? Well, you'll have to watch it to find out, because that's how films work. In fact, given that part of this film is set in Paris, I could say it gave me a sense of déjà vu. No, you shut up. I like that terrible joke. There's not a lot of humour in this film, and it shows, which is a great shame, because as much as I get tired of Simon Pegg just starring in big Hollywood movies, because I just don't get it, he did make a decent contributing job to the script in Star Trek Beyond 2 years ago. Hence, why couldn't he be utilised here? I mean, for a minute I thought he was in the last film, but he wasn't. That was written by McQuarrie as well. And given that McQuarrie made a great job of the last film, how has he let things slip here? However, while there's occasional jokes and asides, all too often Cruise and co just seem to be going through the motions. I mean, as I said, it does lead to a great finale, but it really shouldn't take so long to get there. And you should also bear in mind that when it's a 12 certificate movie, or PG-13 in America, it's destined to appeal to a wide family audience. Kids get bored after a fair amount of time. That's why sort of CGI kids films like Minions or whatever, they do not last long at all. They're probably about an hour and a half tops. So given what I've said about the big scenes in this film, we're rather left with what feels like a disconnected pile of orchestrated stunts, which don't really seem to link together apart from having lots of running going on in between. While the film gets far too twisty-turny for its own good, with seemingly everyone having secrets that they just have to keep from each other, which is just, again, that just drags things out as well. They just can't tell each other anything. I mean, so much for teamwork, huh? As well as a little sort of, it does get a little bit sort of carry on Mission Impossible at times, which is annoying. And who's the mysterious John Lark? Well, again, that's something you'll find out, but I'm one of those people, again, no spoilers, I'm one of those people who, when there's like a bit of a mystery in a film, I don't try and second guess it. I just wait until the film tells me what the outcome is. But with who this John Lark character is, I got that straight away. 147 minutes, it's also far too long. Just because you can make a film last the best part of 2.5 hours doesn't mean that you should. Again, I'll cite Avengers Infinity War as an example, as well as Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi, whatever it was. In fact, that was a title, but why do they call it Star Wars The Last Jedi when it's Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi? Who cares? Anyway, if you're the kind of person, anyway, who could do with paying a visit to Point Percy at the Porcelain about sort of halfway through a very, very long film, then without giving spoilers, around halfway through there's a scene with Ethan and Elsa. Ethan and Elsa, let's call the whole thing off. Ethan and Elsa, they have a chat for around about 3 minutes. I say that's about halfway through. So you can lip them. You can nip to the loo right then and miss nothing. Just be quick. You've got about 3 minutes. And also, with that, because everything I say just comes to a stop, but given the other slow patches in this film, they detract from the excitement and just make the whole experience rather flat, which is a great shame. So, will we be seeing Mission Impossible 7? Well, this one will make tons of money, and it'll certainly, all the numbers will crunch right, but Cruise is getting on. That's to be sure. He also has a bit of a slightly puffy face occasionally, which could be Botox. Maybe. I'm not saying. He also suffered an injury while making the film. In fact, he fractured his ankle while jumping from one rooftop to another, or rather, jumping sort of from one bit of scenery to another, and they probably painted the rooftops in, I imagine. But he does insist on doing his own stunts, so would he risk it again for a third time? I mean, he's 56 now, so let's say it's about 3 years before the next one comes out. He'll be 59. Eee. I'm not looking forward to being 59. And I nearly forgot, but Alec Baldwin, he's back, and he has his usual sort of dramatic delivery. And I sometimes get comments on these videos saying how I look a bit like him, and well, if I had half his cash I'd be happy, but do I look like him? I'm sort of looking at my face now, and oh, my eyes, my beautiful eyes. I don't know, do I look like him? You tell me. Let me know in the comments below. What I will say is, though, I saw this film in 2D, and there is a 3D version doing the rounds, but 2D is as these films were shot. All of them were shot that way. They're all shot in 2D. The 3D is just like a sort of fake thing done in post-production to try and get some extra cash. And I said the previous ones have all been only presented in that way, and there's nothing in this that's worth watching in 3D at all. There's a lot of action scenes in it at times, but there's it's a lot of fast cutting that's going on. And if you watch a 3D film where there's lots of fast cutting, your eyes don't have time to focus, from one cut to another. So it's just an absolute waste of time. Just stick with this one in 2D. Now I know that my local, two cinemas near me, the Odeon in the Trafford Centre, all their IMAX screenings are 3D. They don't have any 3D films which are 3D screenings which are non-IMAX, but all the IMAX ones are 3D. View Cinemas, who took over the Printworks in Manchester, some of their IMAX screenings are 2D, some of them are 3D. So if you're going to go and see that, in fact, if you're going to go and see an IMAX thing, and really there's no point in watching this in IMAX, but I'll come to that. But if you're going to then double check whether it's 2D or 3D. What I will say is that according to Internet Movie Database, some of the scenes are opened up from sort of the usual sort of widescreen 2.39 to 1 to 1.90 to 1. A lot of films are doing that these days. 1.90 to 1 is the digital IMAX ratio. Now I expect, again, no spoilers, I expect some of these include the use of helicopters in the final scene, as I saw a picture before watching this where it shows that one scene was shot with a 360 degree camera, and I can imagine that does look pretty good with the screen filled. Given that some cinemas have some screens, given that some cinemas have screens that are 1.85 to 1, they'd have some that are 2.35 to 1 and 1.85, I think the IMAX print should be issued to those as well, so you can see it opening up. I mean, I watched it on that sort of screen, and it would have been nice to see it open up on those screens, but they just wanted to pay the extra. Well, given that, especially with View, it's only a $5 for films in certain views. Quite a lot of them actually, I think now. So it's really worth a $5. It's only costs £5 to go and see it. Are you then going to say go to the IMAX? Say in my case, the Trafford Centre or the Printworks. Printworks is bigger. That's usually about sort of £12 for that. And for some reason, the Odeon Trafford Centre, they charge stupid money. They're charging about 20 quid. In fact, if you go to the sort of evening showing there, and you sit in one of the premiere seats, it's costing you something like £20.60 each to see one film. That's just bloody stupid. Anyway, that said, if you're the kind of person like me who likes to stay to the credits, then that's fine. I enjoy that you do, something like that. But there's nothing after the credits. So if you didn't go to the toilet when I told you to before, and you're absolutely desperate, then go then. I still stay for the credits, even though the dicks at View's head office insist that the lights are ramped up to nuclear bright levels. Nuclear fallout. I'm here all week trying the fish. But what score did I give this film? Please like this video and share it with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already, and click on the little bell to get those notifications all into your inbox. And cue Genesis.